Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Cassie Grimes, and I am a fine art colored pencil artist, exploring also other mediums when I can. But this is a time-lapse video. It's a three-part series. It's going to be on a cat from a commission I just completed, and it's going to be with some voiceover. So we're going to jump right in here and get started. So as I start this cat's nose, don't mind me trying to zoom in and out or try to focus. I did actually get a new camera, so I am able to get a better high definition video, hopefully for you guys. The next phase, at least personally for me, is to actually purchase a full download of a video editing software that can actually do the full HD that I like, so you guys can see details and stuff, but haven't got quite in there yet. It's been a very busy year. I was hoping to actually get a couple more videos out this year, but hopefully a three-part series will do me some justice. Keep you guys a little bit entertained until the next video comes out. So as we start here, I'm just basically kind of mapping in the nose, getting some of those dark colors in just so I have an idea of the depth of the nose. I'm going to go in with some light colors, erase here and there as I go. So some of the colors I'm using, and I will make sure that I have a picture of this available to you guys as well once I get permission to use that picture from the customer. I'm pretty sure they'll be okay with it, but you always want to double check, even if they are your friend or your coworker. Anyway, so the cat's nose it's pink, a little bit of purpley, definitely some orange in there, and there's some light browns. So you'll see me use some dark purples. You'll probably see me use the pumpkin orange as we go throughout this. And I'm basically just layering, mapping out all of the different shadows, shades, and values in the nose. So I have the nose shape already down. And like I said, I'm just going in, layering and layering, just taking my time. I decided to not use any mineral spirits or any kind of blending solvents on this cat because it is fluffy, and I didn't want it to look too smooth. So like, I think I just finished an elephant drawing or anything like that. I probably would use solvents to kind of help blend like the base color down, but this cat is not on that big of a scale. Even like with the eyes, I thought about it and then I was like, you know what? I think we'll be okay because I still wanted that fuzzy texture. And don't forget to let the paper do some of the work for you too. You don't always have to recreate a fuzzy texture. The paper can already do that. So what I mean, it just depends on the tooth of your paper. So I use mixed media Strathmore paper, and I like it because sometimes I do use watercolor as experiments for some of my own drawings, or soft pastels, chalk pastels, and things of that nature. So I like to have that option. I do have watercolor paper if I just want to do watercolor. But with that being said, on this, I just decided to not do that. This paper has enough tooth on it that I can create that texture without having to do too much, and that actually kind of saved me some time. I do know that a lot of people who do colored pencil, they use that pastel matte paper, and I've just been really cautious to order it because of the quality misses that it does get, but there are a lot of people that have really good success. I think my next thing that I might want to get, once I get through, I have this stack of paper that I want to get through. I don't like wasting things, especially art supplies, if I can help it. So once I kind of get through the majority of that, or just as an experiment, maybe getting just a small, like, if I can find like 11 by 14 stack of toned paper, like gray toned paper, I'm really curious how that would work on some of my darker animals. Or even like some of my really light colored animals that you can't tell the white between like your colored pencil white and the paper, even though the paper's slightly off-white. But anyway, so those are some of my adventures I really want to get into. And just to grow. I'm also growing my website. I actually have completed two. I'm actually really excited. So I have already had two commissions this year that weren't coworker related or like through a friend or anything like that. Like they were outside sourced, and I was like so proud of myself. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, we're doing this. And I, for some reason, thought it was going to take me like years to get, somebody that I didn't personally know, like on acquaintance or otherwise level, to reach out to me and ask like, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? Like, yes, I can do that. And it's just nice because I can always squeeze those guys in. My coworkers are really nice, letting me get those guys done first. Actually, I had started the cat, and then I got asked to do a different project, and I had asked him if it was okay, and he said yes, because that was like my second real, quote unquote, real commission. I was just so excited, and then he was excited for me, so he let me complete theirs first before I went back and finished this cat. So I think I had literally gotten the nose and the eye done, and then all of a sudden I got this other request. I don't typically do that. Like, I don't like to jump the line, but now that the year's kind of coming to an end, I do have people actually in line, and I have it set. Like, I've been telling people, especially the last two commissions, like, hey, I got a line for next year. I'm actually booked out all the way through June of next year, which is really exciting. That if they want on the list, they need to tell me now so that I can get them on there and squared away so that they don't have to wait too long. Anyway, besides that, sorry, I get a little distracted. I'm watching me do this cat drawing and do a voiceover. I can talk and talk and talk. Oh, okay, so here, I'm doing the cat's nose, right? And so you can see, so what I did was I put a layer, I believe I put a cream layer on first, and then I went in with this golden color, because this cat has kind of a golden base, and put the shadows of the fur underneath, like what I wanted, like just to map it out. So basically a lot of colored pencil is mapping where everything's going to go. And then as you build up your layers, you're really going to start to, then that's when you add your detail. You're not going to sit there for half of a cubic inch on every piece and deck out your realism, right? So you can see I kind of, this is, at least for me, this is how it works for me. If you want to sit there and centimeter by centimeter, get all of those little details in, go for it. For me, that's a bit too time consuming, but if you enjoy that, go for it. If that works for you, go for it. This is what works for me. And on this cat, I did take an embossing tool, and that helped map out those really strong highlights, or the first that sit on top. Because my paper is different than like pastel matte paper or any kind of paper that's going to allow you to take away, or allows the colored pencil to take that white on top of the other layers that you put on. So that's why you always want to do a really light layer, but you can see that it works out really well for me because I can kind of just go in, but you still have to be careful. So even if you use your embossing tool or any kind of impressionating, anything that can indent the paper, you want to make sure you don't put too much pressure that then you start to thin or press down the other pieces of that paper are surrounding it, and then makes it completely smooth, and then you lose that technique that you did. So you still have to be light hand. You still have to be consciously aware of what you've done. So like, I wouldn't go through and do the whole cat embossing. If that's what you're going to do, do it in sections. It'll all come together in the end if you just take your time, but definitely in sections. So you can see I do know I'm not quite finished with the nose yet, but I knew it was enough that, okay, this is going to help me figure out the rest of this, the top bridge of his nose, his snout, I guess. So here I'm adding in these black markings, and I do say my black for last. Like, that is the top layer that I put, and then even sometimes after that I put this really nice slate gray color kind of throughout it, just to give maybe some sheen to it. Anyway, I'm gonna let this kind of go on. Or you can see, there it goes. Yeah, I'm gonna let this go on and basically just rinse and repeat for this section, and then we'll talk about the next section as we go. Okay, so now we are, as you can see, I have mapped out where I want all of the hair direction on the nose. You can see I have it going from the corner of the left eye, and it kind of curls up just a little bit, and then it starts to go towards the middle, and then it winds its way back up through the middle of the forehead and up and away. Same thing with the right side. Those right, they're going to kind of meet a little bit in the middle, and then they're going to push each other up. So that's just what the fur appears to look like, at least in the picture. And it looks like I'm trying to get the outline maybe around the eyes, just so that I know where they are and I don't accidentally make the eyes too small. And here I'm adding some more detail going through. I do use light brown. So some of the colors I use a golden color, not like the gold shimmery color. I know some color pencil set come with like the actual gold shimmery color. This one is like just the normal non-shiny gold, if that makes sense. I do have a light umber going on. I do use dark umber. I use the vert green. I actually forget what it's called, but it's kind of a dark green brown color. That's a really nice color I use. Of course, grays and blacks, and then I do use this. I think it's like it's a dark gray, but it's like a cool gray, and it's like I think 80 or 90% or something. So it's not completely black, but it has a cooler tint to it. So you can use that too. And then same thing with that kind of the forehead area there. So I'm mapping everything out, and I'm going in and embossing just a couple areas, not everywhere, but just a couple areas to add those few white specks of hair that I know that I want to keep white. So as this goes on, you guys will be able to see it start to come together. You can see I'm starting to add all those extra little specks, and I'm taking my time. I'm not scribbling I am kind of stroking short strokes in the direction of the fur. You can also do backward strokes, and that'll actually help create what appears if you have like a lighter tuft of fur going over a darker tuft. If you backstroke your darker color into that lighter area, it'll help give the effect that that lighter fur is over top of that darker patch underneath, if that makes sense. You guys can kind of practice that a little bit. I might make a tutorial on that. There's so many things I want to make tutorials on how I do things or things that I have learned over the years. All right, so enough of me talking about this section. I'll let this kind of just play on. You guys can watch it roll out, and we'll cue some cute music. Okay, so here I'm going to start the left eye. I think I've done the right eye already. And I probably did that to save some time, but this is the same process as I did with the other eye, just maybe slightly different colors just because there is I think a TV in the background that's kind of reflecting off of this eye. So this eye is going to be just a slightly different shade than the other one, just in like the highlights. It'll have maybe some little bit more light blues. I think it looks really cool because it almost gives the cat just a slightly two different colored eyes. It's very subtle though, and you can't really tell unless you really study it or unless I point it out. So you're welcome. You'll now not be able to unsee the two different colors of eyes. That's also a choice that I made too. Like when you guys get pictures like that, if you get a couple different reference photos, you can use the like average eye color from those photos for your cat's eye. Like, okay, well, I know this isn't really like a blue eye, so I'm going to make sure it's more green like the other one and make it quote unquote normal. Anyway, this was like my choice. It wasn't that big of a difference that I felt like I had to reference back to different photos, but it's just something to keep in mind as you guys go along. So as we go here, I layer out the highlights in the eyes, and yes, that big square in the middle is the TV, and it's actually kind of really cool because I like when I can see reflections really well in the animal's eyes, so it's not just a black glob, black pupil glob in the middle. Oh, and you can also see, okay, so I'm now creating the details on the eyes here. So I always map in the pupil first, get those highlights in, gently map in the other parts of the eye. So like this is the details. Those are those squigglies that you see in the eyes. I apologize, I don't know the proper term, but as you can see, I add in this blue color. And then we're adding a little bit more blue. I think this is a different, maybe a darker shade of blue, a little bit more vibrant. I like using vibrant colors for the eyes, makes them really pop. And as you can see, I'm going around the really light colors. I want to keep either they're going to be white or they're going to be like an off-white or a maybe slightly yellow or a really light green going in. This is a denim color. This is from the Derwent Chroma Flow. I remember grabbing it. I was like, wow, this is like really blue. So I'm going back over some of those details, creating that. As you can see, the value of the eyes really starting to come together. Mapping in some darker colors here with a light umber. We'll just kind of let it play for a minute. This was actually really fun to do. And I think my camera does end up dying at some point. And I apologize if it dies because I'm watching the replay happen right now, and my video definitely does not go long enough. But anyway, you kind of get the idea. So I'm adding the highlights again, and then I basically just keep going and going until I get more of a solid color. So we're just gonna let this play out. The video is actually about to end. For whatever reason, I think my video died and I didn't realize it. But we'll see if I do the other eye. Same technique applies. Not quite done with this one. Obviously, I would need to go back in and darken up that pupil. Anyway, let's see what this next clip does. I apologize. My camera just died. My battery only lasts like an hour on my camera. I think I realized that, and so I decided, oh, okay, so I do this one as well. Okay. That's okay. We'll just let this one play. So very similar to the other eye. We're just gonna let it play, and you guys can like watch what I've done for the other eye to this one. This one should be the fully completed eye. I'm so sorry if I didn't. Tight budget right currently with how the world is at the moment. I thought about buying another battery pack for my camera, and it was like $60, and I was like, well, an hour charge really, I mean, like sitting down for an hour right after work really is optimum time because I do have other things I need to do at home as well. So it was just remembering to charge it afterwards was the issue. The pencil I'm using right now, the black, it's kind of a brownish black, and I like using it. It's actually from The Master's Touch series. I don't know if that is everywhere in the world, but at least here for me in the US, the Master's Touch series, it was on sale, the color pencil set, so I got it because I was like, well, I could use this for like my coloring books, and then I was like, oh, this black actually is kind of nice. It's a harder type of wax, so I can get the details in there that I need, and I'm not um, running down my other really nice colored black pencils. So, and it's like I said, it's kind of like that brownish black. So sometimes I use it instead because like the Prismacolor black is more of a cooler color black. Like there's a little bit more blue in it. And then I do have the Derma Chroma Flow black, and that one is a bit more on the brownish side too. It's almost like a really, 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 really dark gray because it takes a while for it to get to that solid color black, and it just doesn't feel, what's the word? Like like rich. It's not like a really rich color, but using the combinations of them, I can get this really nice rounded black color. Anyway, so again, we're going in. I mapped out the pupil and all of the different little reflections in there that I want to keep. I went in with that dark green olivey color, olive brown color. Mapped out all those little strings, stringy like, in the iris, going in. I'm going in and layering all the different colors I see, leaving the really light colors blank, or I don't have a lot of dark colors going over them, so that when I do go over and I kind of gloss it up a little bit, those will be coming out really well, sorry. Using this really nice kind of vibrant green over top. I'm going in with looks like a lime color. And then like, here's that yellow. Here's where like that yellow really comes in. People don't really realize that the eyes do reflect white, yes, but it also reflects yellows. Sometimes the eyes also reflect our skin color or what clothes we're wearing that day. So sometimes like dark, you might see like maybe a more cooler eye color if the person's closer to the animal, or if the room is like a blue color, the eyes are going to appear maybe a little bit more blue. Or if they're in a white room, you're going to have more white reflections in the eye. Or if their TV is on, you're going to have maybe some blue reflectors on the eye. But as you can see, I'm adding this yellow in the pupil because one of their lamps is yellow. So I add that in there. It's going to give it more realism. What I do for my art, I don't do hyper-realistic drawings. I do photorealism. So it's using a reference photo or reference of anything and drawing it on a piece of paper as closely as you possibly can to that reference photo. But I'm not trying to copy and paste a photo onto a piece of paper. If you want to do that, just print off your picture, I guess. I don't know. I feel like it defeats the purpose of like getting an art done because you want it in the style, and the style's never going to be 110% like real life unless it's on a huge scale, right? So because you'll be able to cram in all those details unless you have like a really, really sharp. Some people are really good at it though. Like they have like these techniques and they're just really good, but like they can spend like 2 weeks on an eye, right? Or less time if they're used to it. I think this eye maybe took me an hour and a half to do. Like you don't realize how long it does take you between choosing your colors, going back over to and fro. And oh, you can see, okay, so now I'm starting to add like that blue color, like I said, like you might get a blue highlight. So there's a blue highlight in the crevice right there where that TV is. And now I'm mapping out all the different reflections in the cat's eye. And then I do make it darker. Oh, okay, there we go. So I do use a blending stump a little bit in there. I think what I was trying to do, I didn't want to add too much pressure with my colored pencil because like you'll get that shine. Oh, see, there we go. Yep, adding that It was like a gradient change in the cat's eye because like it could see the ceiling, and so the ceiling gradient of the light also reflected in the cat's eye. So just trying to replicate that. That was a little bit of a challenge. It was actually fun. Going back in, darkening some things up, getting that depth and value. Reusing some colors, light brown. Yep, starting to look really good. I also apologize. I think my camera was sensitive to the light I was using, so we have this like old TV like lines coming through. I'm so sorry, but I do try to correct that in my next videos, my next clips that I have. Oh, there's the finished eye on the left side, and now we're gonna have a finished eye on the right side. So you can see how one is just a little bit more bluer than the other, just because that TV reflects a little bit more in that one eye. And you'll see too, as we get the fur on there, one side has that light hitting it more strongly than the other side. And again, like if you want more of a, I don't want to say balanced, but I guess as if like the light was coming more directly onto the cat, you can either ask for a different reference photo, or you can go into Photoshop, and if you have Photoshop or any photo editing software, and try to edit that if you want. But I don't. Usually photo is good, because then once I never really had issues with it. Like once I get it on there and I start coloring away, my eyes, like on the paper itself, you'll start to kind of adjust the colors to the paper and to like what you see versus like what the picture is. Okay, so we are going to start with the next section. And here I'm just adjusting my photo, so we're going to skip some of this. Actually, that was actually pretty fast. Never mind. Mind you, I am recording as I'm watching this too, so I don't know exactly. I don't remember when or how I started my videos. I don't know if I started recording and I was adjusting things, or I started recording after I got things adjusted. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we're using the same techniques here as I did with the bridge of the cat's nose and then the middle between the eyes. I put a layer of cream or white down first, just like a light layer or two. So then I do my embossing tool, and I indent wherever I want those really, really light furs to stick out, because the paper I use does not really allow me to go back on top and add the white unless I use like a white gel pen, and I don't want to use a white gel pen. Just makes it a little bit easier for me. Or you can sit there and try to go around and map all that out. You can also do like a really thick, like maybe white or cream layer where you want those down, and then afterwards, as long as you put enough of that layer down, you can go back in and scrape away with a cutting edge. The back side, don't use the sharp side, use the back side of a cutting edge, and like an X-Acto knife, just the back side of it, and you can scrape away some of that top layer, and the underlayer will come out. For me, it's like a 50-50, because it really honestly does depend on how much underneath you have. Sometimes I get lucky and that works better than the embossing, but the embossing really works well for those stronger, smaller furs. Or I usually use the scrape away with the X-Acto knife for slight color variation. So like if I have a light gray undertone, but then I have like black specks, so I'll do the dark gray undertone, couple layers, and then I'll go through and put a couple layers of maybe like a dark black, dark umber, or things of that nature, and then I can go back through and just gently take a couple of that darker layer away to show like maybe that lighter gray color underneath. That usually works well, but I never truly get like a white color, like the white that I want. And then I sit there fussing with it. So that just works for me. Oh, the eraser I'm using, if you're curious, I use a standard eraser. And what is that thing called? Hold on, let me get it. If I can find it. Oh, okay. It's called the Mono Sand Eraser. It's by Tombow. And it's really cool. It says for ink. So I haven't tried tried erasing ink yet with it, but it does help. So like, let's say you put maybe one light layer down of maybe any color, and you're like, oh crap, that's not really the color I want. You can gently go in with this and take up some of it, and then your other color that you put on top, that sandy kind of roughness will help open up the pores on the paper a little bit and allow that pencil to better go over top of it. Will it completely erase like a solid black color or a dark color? Probably not. I haven't tried that yet. I haven't experimented too far with it. But it can also help maybe create a light. So let's say like maybe you went a little too far with maybe one color, but very lightly, it's not like 10 layers of one color. You can probably gently use that and take away some of those little extra fuzzies that you don't want. That's what I basically use it for. I think you will actually see me. I don't know if I recorded me using it, but there was a spot on the lower part of the chin I just didn't like it, and I knew that this was the only thing that was going to take up the layers that I had without completely damaging the tooth of the paper, so that I could go back in and adjust it the way I want it. But that was like a one and done only. I couldn't. You can't put like 5, 6, 10 layers on, use the eraser, try to take all those layers off and still have a usable paper underneath after like maybe the first time that you've done it. Maybe second time, depending on the area or how rough you are with it. But it's a good little handy dandy tool. Definitely something that I use. And again, that's the Tombow Mono Sand Eraser, MONO Sand Eraser. So I like it. I do use kneaded erasers. Kneaded erasers I feel like are a must for any drawing. I don't use pink erasers a lot. I use white erasers. Sometimes the pink erasers leave a pink residue, but I don't usually use them. And then to sharpen my pencils, if anyone's curious, because I do like to keep a sharp pencil when I go in and I do all these little details, I use a Prismacolor sharpener, just like the little hand one. I think it was like $7, but it lasts a very long time, and it has the 2 different slots. So you can get kind of a longer shave, a longer point, or you can do like the really short one. And sometimes I use the short one when I know like the core of the pencil isn't well made. And then I do have an electric sharpener. The electric sharpener I usually use for the cheaper colored pencils, for if I want to quick sharpen for like my coloring book, or if I break a colored pencil and I need to actually get down to the wax core before I hand sharpen it, so I'm not sitting there for like 5 minutes trying to resharpen this pencil. So anyway, back to the cat. As you can see, that embossing tool really does help keep all of those really top highlight or white furs or cream furs on top of the darker fur that I'm putting underneath of it. And I'm being careful with my choices. So I'm using the golden color. I have a light umber. I'm using different shades of blacks, a couple different grays. And I'm using this cream color kind of as a slight blender, but also as a toner as well. Going back in and just getting all those little different tones in there. So what I mean by tones is, so your tones are your grays, your darks, and it can also be your highlights as well. So toning down an area, like right now I'm using this black, I'm going in and adding details. I'm also using the grays to go in and, okay, it's like, okay, this area might include all these colors, but they're not as vibrant, so I need to tone that down. If I need to tone it up, I should have done that to begin with and left that area more white, right? And if you do kind of mess up, maybe like, oh, I need this area a little bit more white, like a lighter tone. Remember that sanity eraser? As long as you don't have like a solid, like that solid black spot that I have above the eye there, I probably wouldn't be able to use my sanity eraser that well to get that up and make it like white again. Like that area is black and I know it.